Hello there and a very good afternoon to you wherever you're joining us from on this 17th day of January 2026. Welcome to Citizen Weekend at 1. My name is Melita Oletenges. Here are the highlights. Ruling for life. President Yoweri Museveni heads to victory with 75% of the vote, while his challenger Bobi Wine secures 21% of the vote. Back in central Kenya, President William Ruto meets Nyeri County UDA grassroots leaders at the Sagana State Lodge. And dreams cut short. 3-year-old killed and others injured after strong winds blew off the roof of St. Pascal Academy, Nakuru East. Let's begin with the latest. President William Ruto has reaffirmed his commitment to what he calls Kenya's Singapore dream, saying progress made so far, particularly in the housing sector, signals the beginning of national transformation. Speaking while addressing grassroots leaders in Nyeri County, the president dismissed critics who have ridiculed the ambition, insisting that visible changes are already taking shape across the country. He cited the ongoing transformation of informal settlements in parts of Nairobi as evidence that Kenya is on a steady path toward urban renewal and economic growth. President Ruto maintained that his government's development agenda is beginning to yield tangible results, adding that the drive for affordable housing and modern infrastructure remains central to his vision of positioning Kenya as a globally competitive nation.
Ndio Waswahili wakasema ukiona vyaelea, kuna watu wameketi chini wakaunda. Nyinyi mnanielewa? Nikaketi chini na yeye akaniambia, Bwana Rais, unajua Singapore wakati tulianza mambo ya affordable housing, hata watu tulikuwa tunawalazimisha. Mtu wako na nguruwe yake na mfuko yake hapo ya pombe, tunamwambia nyumba yako iko ghorofa ya 26. Sasa anaanza kushangaa, sasa hii ghorofa lift, nitaweka nguruwe, nitaweka hii pombe ama nitafanya nini? Today that country has changed. Na mimi nataka niwaeleze, hii Kenya kwa mapenzi ya Mungu tutabadilisha. Tutabadilisha. Nyinyi mumeona, sio kwa sinema, nyinyi mumeona live. Nairobi hiyo inaanza kubadilika. Pale Mukuru ilikuwa slum, leo tumejenga ghorofa 19 Mukuru.
Crossing borders to Uganda, the Ugandan Electoral Commission is expected to announce the final results of the presidential elections by 4 p.m. local time. Preliminary results from the latest update show incumbent President Yoweri Museveni leading with 75% of the vote, followed by Robert Chagulanyi or Bobi Wine with 21%. Ugandan security forces have dismissed reports circulating on social media claiming that opposition leader Bobi Wine was arrested and taken to an unknown location in a military helicopter. Authorities insist that Chagulanyi remains confined to his home in Magere. Police have, however, confirmed that at least 7 people were killed after violence broke out in the town of Butambala on Friday. Ciao. Now, a 3-year-old pupil is confirmed dead after strong winds blew off the roofs of 4 classrooms at St. Pascal Academy in Mzewa Wanyama area, Nakuru East on Friday afternoon. 3 other pupils sustained serious injuries in the incident and are currently admitted at the Nakuru Teaching and Referral Hospital. One of the children is in the intensive care unit, while 2 others are in the general ward awaiting surgery. The body of the the deceased child was taken to the Nakuru Teaching and Referral Hospital mortuary, where a post-mortem examination will be conducted to establish the exact cause of death. Residents and parents have raised concerns over the school's infrastructure, saying similar incidents have occurred in the past whenever the area experiences strong winds.
Kuna upepo ilikuja kubwa sana, na wakati ilikuja tukasimama tu hadi tukafunga makazi, ikazunguka kukakaa kidogo, tukasikia kuna mahali inabomoa, na wakati tuliona inabomoa tukatulia tu, kukakaa kidogo, nikapigiwa simu na mzazi mmoja akaniambia nikimbie kwa kuwa kuna watoto wameumia kwa hiyo shule hii Pascal.
Hapa kwetu kuna jambo hili la upepo kuvuma. Kuna mwaka unaweza enda mwaka moja ama miaka mbili, then upepo huo unakuja, upepo mkali, si mara ya kwanza upepo kuja na kubomoa. Hata kuna wakati mmoja ulikuja kwa kuta wazee wamesimama mahali wakauana, wakajikinga kwa ukuta na wakaanguka na wakauawa, walikuwa wazee wawili. Na kuna nyumba nyingi zimekuwa zikibebwa, hata nyumba mzima inabomoka, na ni kama kwamba hapa kwetu kuna njia ambayo upepo hupitia.
I had 2 children. One was injured by a stone. I took him at the gate. The second one was an iron was lying on his leg. I heard it is PP2. So I ran. I picked the child. I took him at the gate.
At least 11 illegal firearms have been surrendered to security agencies in Tana River County over the past week, following the government's declaration of a 60-day amnesty period. Out of the 11 firearms surrendered, 5 were handed over by leaders from the Degodia community, while 6 were surrendered by members of the Orma community. The 6 firearms were presented at Bangali Police Station and formally handed over to the Deputy County Commissioner Joseph Kipkorir. Speaking during the exercise, Kipkorir urged residents from both communities to take full advantage of the amnesty period and voluntarily surrender all illegal firearms in their possession. He warned that those who fail to comply once the 60-day window expires will face strict enforcement measures as the government moves to restore peace and stability in the volatile Tana River region.
Tunashukuru wazee kwa kujitolea na kwenda kuongea na wananchi huko wasalimishe silaha kulingana na ile maagizo yenye tulipewa na Regional Commissioner kwamba watu wasalimishe silaha kabla siku 60 ishe. Na leo tukisimama hapa tuko siku ya 26, so tumebakisha kama siku 35 hizo siku 60 ishe.
So this is a very good endeavor and nimeshukuru sana. So kwanza kabisa wacha niwaambie as much as this exercise is going on, kutakuwa na wakati ili kila mtu mwenye ajaleta silaha itakuwa ni shida.
Elsewhere, COTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli has denied allegations of sidelining workers, reaffirming his commitment to championing the welfare of Kenyans organized under their respective trade unions. Speaking in Kisumu, Atwoli said the dissenting opinions are being pushed by a section of opposition political leaders whose ultimate motive is to reduce the influence of trade unions in the country. His defense comes a week after some workers in the flower farms of Naivasha expressed dissatisfaction over claims that Atwoli was prioritizing politics over their welfare. The COTU Secretary General was recently and unanimously elected as the General Secretary of the Kenya Plantation and Agricultural Workers Union.
And those Okeno is here will make I cannot see anybody who can coordinate from the coast to west. I don't see anybody. I'm not seeing anybody. I'm not seeing anybody. I can tell you for free. And if you have hate, please put your hate aside and work on strategies and facts. Because some people would hate you, like me. People would hate, just say, if you see what they write on it now, because of hate and envy. But when you ask them, go to workers and ask them whether Atwoli should exit, they can't. Whenever they go, even in the hotels, workers will tell you, we still need Francis Atwoli. Workers will tell you, we still need Francis Atwoli. Workers will tell you.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has warned individuals involved in large-scale drug trafficking and distribution, saying the government has intensified the fight against drug and substance abuse in the coast region. Speaking in Mombasa after meeting with coast parliamentarians, Murkomen said the government will invest heavily in targeting drug traffickers and dismantling their transport networks. Authorities will also seize and auction properties linked to the drug trade, with proceeds from the sales earmarked for the construction of rehabilitation centers across 6 coastal counties. At the same time, Mombasa Governor Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir urged the Interior Ministry to fast-track the registration of residents and issuance of national identity cards, noting that more than 500,000 people in the region are still without identification documents.
Tulifanya mpango, I think ilikuwa ni around October, tukafanya mass registration. Tuliweza kupata watu takriban 9,000 na karibuni mwezi huu tunafanya mpango mwingine na wizara.
Most importantly is the plan on how things are going to be transformed in this region by a way of accessing important or critical services ambayo serikali inapeana. ID is one, matter security and so on and so forth. I have had an engagement today on unlocking Mrima for that matter, so that we can create some serious economic activities within the region going forward. But this particular meeting was focused on matter security.
But our focus is to deal with those who are engaged in commercial, dealing with drugs in commercial quantities, and also dealing with high drugs like heroin, cocaine, and other synthetic drugs. Our effort is to ensure that our work is to ensure that we eliminate, arrest the main traffickers, the transporters, and as the President announced, we are going to go also not just for the drugs or not for arresting them, we'll go for their properties, and to make sure that those properties are sold and the resources are used to build rehabilitation centers.
Now, a new charm offensive is underway in Western Kenya as politicians allied to the Kenya Kwanza coalition step up efforts to woo Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya to cross the floor. Bungoma Governor Kenneth Lusaka and Kakamega Deputy Governor Ayub Savula are leading the push. The two hosted members of the Trans Nzoia County Assembly in a consultative meeting, rallying grassroots leaders to support the government and persuade Governor Natembeya to reconsider his opposition stance. The leaders say Natembeya should not remain in the opposition, but rather position himself for a more influential role ahead of the 2027 general election.
The deputy opposition, afadhali tuwe minister.
So nikaulizwa ita Nairobi milioni ndio uweke machinery hapa. Ukiona ndio tunasema sisi want to be in the winning team.
Uongelesha na Natembeya kuja fanya kazi na sisi
so that tujue kwamba realistically. Tunataka kuuliza wenzetu wa Trans Nzoia kwa kiongozi wao governor aje sisi tufanye kazi pamoja, asiwe ajipate ako isolated peke yake, na sisi huko kama magavana wanne wa upande huu tunatembelea pamoja. Ndio tumejadiliana na tukubaliana kwamba tutakuwa na mikutano kama hii kuendelea mbele.
Paka ikitaka kuwa lion, but must lose appetite for that. Uanze ku dream kuwa lion. So ambia Natembeya a lose appetite for that. Ya dream kuwa lion. Na tunamuomba aje afanye kazi na William Samoei Ruto.
To matters health now, people living with HIV in Kenya are criticizing parties that are moved to court to block the implementation of a landmark US-Kenya Health Cooperation Agreement covering HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, maternal and child health, polio eradication, disease surveillance, and outbreak preparedness. The National Empowerment Network of People Living with HIV and AIDS in Kenya, NEPHAC, warns that halting the agreement could negatively impact those relying on government support to maintain their health and prevent new HIV infections. Among those seeking to stop the deal are the Consumer Federation of Kenya, COFEK, Busia Senator Okia Omtata, and the Law Society of Kenya, who argue that implementing the pact is unconstitutional and could expose Kenya health data to the United States. The current agreement channels resources directly to government institutions rather than NGOs.
If you go to court to block any form of American support, it means you are stopping a lifeline for people living with HIV, people who have TB and other health conditions. America has been supporting Kenya for the last 22 years. In 2024, we mark 20 years of PEPFAR, and we have never had any issue of data breaches. And we hope that going forward, government to government support, there will be no breach in data. In terms of public participation, I started by saying that I'm not a government official, but I joined the bilateral negotiations to represent civil society and communities. So we are here in the judiciary to clarify to them that politicians and activists must not hide behind them to block support for people living with HIV.
Ngarendare mothers can breathe a sigh of relief as new maternity wing opens, ending long travels for essential healthcare. The dispensary was built through Lewa Wildlife Conservancy in partnership with Meru County government. It will serve hundreds of mothers who previously had to travel to Nanyuki, Isiolo or Meru hospitals for maternity services.
Tumeshukuru kama mimi mama ninafungulianga saa nyingine ukikosa gari ya kukupeleka Nanyuki ama Meru unakuta mama amesalia kwa njia na si kutaka either huko na fare ya kusafiri huko, lakini kwa saa hii imekuja karibu hapa.
Tumekuwa na Lewa inakuwa na ambulance ambayo imesaidia wajawazito. So ambulance itapungukiwa mzigo kwa sababu imekuwa ikitoka kila mahali inakimbia kusaidia wamama. Sasa jamii itajipanga ikuje karibu, kwa hiyo maternity waweze kusaidika na watoto hawatakufa tena kwa sababu wamama watapata haki yao ya kuweza kushughulikiwa kiafya.
Kuona maternity nyumba kubwa kama hii ambayo iko na vitanda vya kutosha, ambayo iko katika hali ambayo ni ya kisasa, ambayo kwanza kabisa hatujaiona katika area hii mambo kama haya ambayo yametendeka siku ya leo. Kwa hivyo tuko na kila furaha, tuna furaha ya ajabu.
Elsewhere, parents and education stakeholders at Keburwet Primary School in Luadanyi Ward, Sirisia constituency, Bungoma County, are threatening to shut down the institution over poor infrastructure. They say the deteriorating conditions have contributed to declining academic performance and a rising number of pupils transferring to neighboring schools. Stakeholders claim that since the appointment of the current head teacher, no meaningful development has taken place at the school. They allege that funds allocated for the construction and renovation of classrooms and sanitation facilities were misused, leaving learners in unsafe and unconducive learning conditions.
Sema kwamba shule hii imeoza, vyoo hakuna. Watoto wanajisaidia kwa fence. Tumeua nyoka karibu 5 juzi kwa sababu ya mazingira ya watoto kuwa mbaya. Vyoo hakuna. Hakuna kabisa, hakuna, maana watoto wanaenda nje na wanashare watoto wa kiume na wa kike.
Imekuwa na shida kubwa sana tangu mwalimu mkuu ambaye ameingia kwa hii shule 2024. Amerusa hii shule nyuma sana. Ukiangalia darasa ya grade 9 ilianza saa hii mwaka moja haijaisha na pesa kwa account hakuna. Unapoongea hivi contractor kwa site hayuko.
The construction of houses for families displaced by landslides in the Chesongoch area of Elgeyo-Marakwet County has officially begun. Through a collaborative effort involving the national government, the Elgeyo-Marakwet County government and scholars from the county, the affected families are expected to receive new homes within the next 1 month. Speaking during the handover of plots to National Youth Service officials tasked with building the houses, County Chief Agricultural Officer Edwin Komen said that 53 3 families are set to benefit from the program. He urged residents to fully cooperate with NYS officers to ensure the project is completed within the stipulated timeline. Victims of the disaster say the initiative has restored their hope, noting that it offers them a chance to rebuild their lives after the landslide that disrupted their homes and livelihoods.
Tunafurahi sana na tunashukuru sana serikali kwa sababu wameona ni vizuri watuchengee manyumba, at least tupate mahali ambapo tunapumzikia, watoto wetu waweze kurudishiwa ile furaha ambayo walikuwa nayo.
Tunaomba tena serikali kwa sababu sisi hatuna chochote. Kila kitu yetu ilipotea, hatuna chochote. Tunaomba serikali wasiti kutusaidia.
Tumekuja kuconfirm ama kufanya site handing over ya hizo shamba zenye wamepewa, na wamepewa na community ama clans. So kila clan wamepea watu wake sehemu ya kujenga.
Nataka nishukuru community amkutupea kazi ngumu. Wengi walitoa shamba yao na kupewa the clan members, na we don't take it for granted. Tunashukuru kwa sababu mlifanya kazi yetu ikuwe rahisi.
We would request members of the community at this time of the day, let us be very friendly, assist one another. If there is anybody who does not have where to put a house, please, we started a process of doing the agreement. Let us be very sincere during that agreement time.
All right, 21 minutes past the hour. We take a quick break right here on Citizen Weekend. Stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.